All right, Aaron, what's up in tech?
Okay, so this first one stood out to me as pretty fascinating. So, if you guys are not familiar, there's plenty of ransomware hacks that have been going on. You guys have no doubt probably heard of the pipeline hack, and many others. But this one I thought was pretty hilarious. So there's a popular union known as the Teamsters. And if you guys, that rings some bells in your memory, that's because the Teamsters Union is the one that legendary mobster and, I don't know, mafia member, I don't know exactly his title, but Jimmy Hoffa was a part of, right? He was the one that kind of championed that union. Anyways, I guess we just found out, this just became public information, but in 2019, their computer systems became attacked by one of these ransomware hacks. And if you're not familiar, what happens, essentially some malicious code gets onto your network and then encrypts all of your files. And then what happens is these hackers then say, hey, pay us some money, we'll unlock all your files and move right along. So the Teamsters, they go to the FBI and say, what the fuck do we do here? The FBI says, of course, you just pay them. We're too fucking busy. Deal with it. So they're like, okay. So I think they try to negotiate down the price. I think I read that they got it down to like 1.1 million or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was 1.1. Yeah.
Yeah, and then they talked to their insurance company, and the insurance company was like, "Nah, don't pay that, because that means we'll have to pay it."
Like, what was insurance going to say?
Yeah, the perfect answer. So instead, they're like, you know what? Let's just rebuild our entire systems. Forget our infrastructure that we already have. Let's just rebuild it. I absolutely love that story, and it's like, if anybody that would say, "No, fuck you, we're not going to pay you your money," it's like.
It's Jimmy Hoffa.
Yeah, it's like yeah. Well, and it's run by, it's either his like son, I think, is who runs it now, James Hoffa. Anyways, I love that one. It's like the union is for blue collar workers. I believe they're now trying to get Amazon workers to join their union as well. That's a whole nother story. But that was the first one that I heard where they're like, no, fuck this. There's another option. Let's just rebuild our entire network.
So I like how the FBI was like, yeah, just pay them, because it's a digital only thing. Imagine if, like, the movie Air Force One from like 1997 with Harrison Ford. Could you imagine somebody calling up the FBI and being like, hello, Quantico. So somebody has hijacked Air Force One. They've taken the president hostage. They're asking for $5 million. Could you imagine the FBI being like, why are you fucking calling us? Just pay them. Pay them the $5 million. We don't have time for this shit. Like, they didn't even bother to send anybody or do anything.
Have you guys seen the first episode of Black Mirror with the pig?
Yes.
I don't remember what the first episode is.
Oh, it's the one with the pig. That's the one that I was like, I don't know why everyone is saying this show is so amazing. I don't know that I can watch any more of this shit.
The pig.
No, I don't.
Yeah.
You're going to have to refresh my memory.
I mean, it's a big spoiler alert for anybody who hasn't seen Black Mirror as an episode. So if you haven't seen it, go watch the first one. But basically, they get the prime minister to do stuff with.
Oh, right. I do remember this.
There it is.
Yeah. On live television.
Yeah. I don't know how you forgot that. Yeah. On live television. So, I mean, they get people to do stuff. I don't know. At least in the Black Mirror world. But I think that in kidnappings, I do think, don't they generally advise you to just pay them?
I think it would. I would suspect so. I mean, I think it would depend on the dollar amount, right? As long as it's reasonable. I mean, if it's unreasonable, it's like these people aren't really being serious, anyways. But what's fascinating is, so these ransomware hacks. I mean, the stuff that's coming out now, because they're seeming like they're more and more prevalent, which is why the FBI said, we can't fucking manage this. We've got tons of these happening in DC. You're on your own. Is basically no one's talking about these ransomware hacks, and private enterprises are just paying them off and moving right along. Because one of the concerns was, if we don't pay them, they're also then going to leak all this information on the interwebs.
Yeah, but once you pay them, what is their motivation to not do it? Just
that's what I haven't figured out exactly. It's like, why don't they just turn around and do it again?
Yeah, like, you're not dealing with the world's most honest people here.
Yeah, for me, like, if just as someone in tech, I'm like, I kind of want to rebuild the entire system anyways and
Yeah.
try to do a better job knowing that this could be the outcome.
I mean, so I'm trying to. I looked a few times, and I've tried to find what it is that they are built on, and what did they actually have to rebuild.
Dude, I'm
I
sure
see
it was like
mentions of-
Windows XP.
Well, they
Service
mentioned, I
Pack.
mean, it's just a bunch of data records. They mentioned they even had to go in and reproduce hard copies into digital copies. I mean, so they probably had like a warehouse full of files that they just had to go in and scan and shit, which sounds insane to me.
So is there then a market, if the FBI is not going to take these threats seriously and help people, is there a market for like a private security firm to respond, like a crisis, response
Yeah, those
center?
exist.
No, I mean, not like the rape crisis response center, but like, hey, I've been digitally raped. Let me call
Call in because our network's been raped.
I am currently I'm currently penetrated. Somebody come help.
I mean, yeah, they do have those people, the digital forensics, people who deal with those types of, even the negotiations of those things. But what I was looking at here is the $1.1 million when you decide that it's basically less expensive probably to just rebuild the system, right? Because if it's a bunch of data, like how much labor is it to get some people to scan some stuff out of
exactly.
file? I mean,
Well,
that's
if it was
probably the
really
math they did.
No, exactly. If it's really smart, I mean, you should probably calculate that. So it's like your malware goes and scans all the files, and they're like, this would probably take them X amount of time, which equates to X amount of dollars. Let's make it just slightly lower than that. So they're like, okay, let's just pay.
Yeah,
You got to make it a little lower than slightly lower because you got to allow for the fuck you factor of like at least 20%.
It is interesting though, just this, the topic of how often this happens that we don't hear about this. So like this is a couple years ago, which is actually kind of interesting because I think, aren't you supposed to release when your data has been compromised to the individuals that were compromised?
Oh, that one I'm not sure, but even on this one they said that member information, all that kind of stuff was not accessed. So it's like, okay, well, what could they have accessed? That would be of concern here. I mean, just files that are just help them within just to operate the business.
I mean, I've had now 3 sites hacked. 2, I think we talked about one on the show. It happened again to 2 other clients, and we never had any like client data or anything of importance on there. Like a couple like WordPress blogs or whatever got compromised, and so at the end of the day, it was like, okay, like just go remove the malware and try to patch the where they penetrated from. But at the end of the day, I don't know if I have no idea on the client side what they did, if they reported it to anybody. For one, I suspect yes. For another, I suspect no. But again, you're not dealing with sensitive information. So.
Yeah, I don't think anybody cares unless you leak some sensitive information.
Yeah, so it's just amazing how often this stuff is happening now. I mean, I think it's probably just the bots are getting so sophisticated, or do you think that this was like a direct?
Oh,
It's probably, I don't know that it's direct. I mean, because there's been instances, I think, where some of the groups have said, no, we're not targeting like these hospitals and stuff, which is like the worst
It just
case scenario,
accidentally
right?
happened.
It just happens, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
It's like
I think
maybe hospitals are talking about it more openly, and that's why it seems like some of these industries seem to be more targeted. I don't know.
I'll bet you it's not. If I were the hackers, right, I wouldn't be like, oh, yeah, man, Teamsters, fuck those guys. Or like, St. Mary's Hospital, oh, fuck that place. It would literally just be an opportunistic thing, right? Like, oh, this place is running an ancient version of Windows. They haven't patched whatever in forever. Let's take it, So I literally think it's just anyone they can get. They're not going after specific organizations.
You guys ever get into Mr. Robot at all?
Yes,
On the TV show. Yeah, that is such. I actually really enjoyed that up until a point, but like watching them actually go through and try to like attack. Like he's like, oh, this is like WPA security and blah blah blah. It was kind of cool. Like
it was a step up from, let me guess your Wi-Fi password by knowing your dog's name.
Yeah, and I mean it's cool to see it realistically portrayed. There's another really great computer show called *Halt and Catch Fire*, based in the 60s, 70s. Another
That was a
great
good
show. Yeah, but I thought it was cool to watch like the hacker. Like, if you guys have obviously seen, I assume, I mean, I hope you guys have seen like Hackers, the old school movie.
Yes,
You know,
and I even watched it recently, and my God,
Really?
it's atrocious.
I mean, but so good. But like, it's cool to actually see, you know, things portrayed realistically, not like flying around digital 3D spaces and stuff like
That's
that.
what that was. That's what that movie
Yeah.
was. That's Hackers.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
that's
it's
what I'm
so
saying. It's
bad.
cool to see like Mr. Robot and see
Oh,
like,
yeah,
these
yeah.
kinds of things, and I think it helps give context to, like, how these hacks happen. If you ever have watched that show, it's like,
No,
oh,
and it's
okay,
like,
I get
well, it's
it now.
even dumber. It's just like someone got phished with an email, and they opened up the email, and they weren't paying attention, or they were like ignored all the warnings, or the stupid one where it's like, I mean, I've gone through like these IT trainings, and it's like, do not plug in a USB stick that you found in the parking lot at work. It's like, oh my God.
I actually just had a friend got phished a couple weeks ago, and one of her gaming accounts, she had, I don't understand how, but she had like $15,000 worth of real money. Well, she's Canada, so loonies and toonies, whatever they call their money, but 15 grand worth of like skins for the game. I was like, why did you have that much?
Who spends 15 grand on skin? Like nothing.
When dude, they go for like 70 grand. I don't know what people do. Yeah.
Like behind the scenes, that's like a 1-bit thing in somebody's database somewhere. That's like, oh yeah,
I know.
They got this piece of equipment.
Jones, do I need to refer to you again, NFTs?
Oh Jesus Christ!
This at least, in my mind, I'm like, this at least has a function and like a more interesting like bragging rights. If you have a skin that no one else can use.
Wait, hang on. Speaking of NFTs, my little brother called me over the weekend, and I was driving with Josh, and I put him on speakerphone. The first thing he says is, "Yo, what the fuck's an NFT?" And comes to find out, because he does Ironman events and triathlons and all that kind of stuff. And somebody had beaten an Ironman record, and was putting the record up for NFT. And he's like, I don't understand. What does that
How do
mean?
you even put the record up for NFT? Like, what do you fucking own? Like a photo?
I own
of
your
the
record. You didn't do it. I did it.
No, I own the fact that you did it. Like, or something like what?
We live in a. Oh my God, I can't.
We need to
That's
just
it.
reboot.
Yeah, we just gotta rebuild the system, man.
Turn it off.
Yep.
And turn it back on again.
Tech went weird places. Right after Wolfenstein 3D, it was all downhill after that. Jesus Christ.